Russell Wilson essentially getting benched, okay? Now, the conversation revolves around a $37 million guarantee that is in for next year, but if he was to suffer a catastrophic injury before March, which is when it gets locked in, that would then be guaranteed from the Denver Broncos to Russell Wilson. This is very similar to the situation with Derek Carr when he was told he's not allowed back in the building pretty much with the Raiders because they didn't want $24 million guarantee come in if a catastrophic injury was to take place. So this means that the Denver Broncos are seemingly moving on from Russell Wilson after this year and everything like that. But whenever it comes to these types of clauses and money things that are making the decisions, how do you feel about that? And what do you think happens with Russell Wilson now that he's going to be a free agent?
Yeah, they're going to cut him and deal with the dead cap?
Is that what's going to happen with Russell Wilson? How do you feel about the whole situation that's brewing right now as we speak, JJ?
I mean, it certainly seems obviously that it's heading towards a parting of ways, which from the Broncos standpoint is basically they're saying, yes, we're going to take a big hit right now, but we're ready to move on to the next phase of our organizational history and see who our next quarterback's going to be and how we're going to build that. But from a player standpoint, I mean, I always have a hard time feeling bad for anybody when you're getting a $37, $39 million check on the way out the door, you know? Like, that's like that Ed Ogeron clip where he's like, yeah, just tell me which door you want me to leave and what time you want me out of here, because no problem. Like, I always think, like, yes, I do feel bad that a guy is, getting benched and he's getting cut. But I mean, $39 million to walk out the door.
I don't think he gets it
pretty quickly.
He would only get that money if he was to suffer a catastrophic injury.
No, but he still gets the rest of his guarantee. Correct?
He had a lot. He still gets
the rest of his money. It's not like he's not getting any more dollars moving forward.
Oh, yeah, because so the injury guarantee is something, and then the guarantee is something. Remember, it's always two numbers. So $37 million would be added for the injury guarantee if he was to get injured before March of next year. But all of his other guarantees, yes, that will also hit into the dead cap and everything for however many more years coming.
And this is the argument, obviously, for that football players always have. In the locker rooms, we always talk about we see baseball contracts, we see basketball contracts 100% fully guaranteed no matter what. And ours are obviously not. So when people see these big numbers in the paper, they're like, oh, wow, this guy just signed a $300 million contract. And they're like, this guarantee, that guarantee. Well, injury guarantees aren't real guarantees. We all know, like, there's a real number that you actually are guaranteed. And it's generally much, much smaller. Still a beautiful number, but much, much smaller than the public thinks. And then we all look at those baseball and basketball contracts, and we're like,
you don't have to cure COVID to get that? Because in our contract, we got to win 7 Super Bowls straight for me to get that extra $75 million. Is that what Shohei has to do? No, actually, he's deferring it so he doesn't even have to pay tax for the next 20 years on this entire thing. It's like, yeah, all of it's coming, though, at some point. It's like, Bobby
Those ones
Bonilla.
blow my mind, man.
Bobby
10, 12-year contract. Oh, Bobby Bonilla's still making it. I think Ken Griffey's still getting paid a bunch of money.
As he should.
Like, beautiful. Great for them. I've always wondered in baseball, like, 12-year contract. I don't know where I'm going to be. Like, you have no clue if a guy's going to be good in 12 years. What are we doing? Like, good for them, though. Good for baseball
Hockey
players.
does 9 years, I think, is the longest. You're not allowed to do 10 years. Is that right?
8.
8 years is the longest. But normally all the people that get drafted to teams, it's like they're locked in immediately almost. 8 years, here we go. Their free agency, not great. Hockey.
Their first deals, that long?
First big one, pretty much, yeah. Like, as soon as Sid got to he was locked, we were going to have him. Ovi, as soon as he gets to the Capitals, he's going to be there for a long time. Gino, whenever he gets from Russia, smuggled out of Russia.
Yep.
They had to smuggle him out of Russia, get his family separated from him, smuggle them out of Russia.
Wow.
Yeah, because they didn't want him to leave the KHL, which we just learned about. And then he comes over to Pittsburgh. It's like, yeah, we're going to have this guy for the next 20 years. Like, it's pretty much, that's how hockey kind of works. All guaranteed, though. All guaranteed over there as well.
I just found a
when I was
tons of.
Go ahead, JJ.
When I was in high school, I was a pitcher in baseball. And my sophomore year, I basically had to decide, am I going to play football or am I going to play baseball? Because you can't work out when you're pitching. And, I mean, this is stupid. I don't know why I was this ignorant and dumb thinking, but I guess maybe it's part of the reason I made it. But I was like, you know what? In baseball, you got to go through the minor leagues, then you got to go through arbitration, then you get to your big contract. Football, you just go college and then you go pro. It's right away. And I was a sophomore in high school, like looking at the contract situations, like I don't want to go through all that stuff with baseball. Like I was actually going to make it. Like a moron.
Well, JJ, there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's a chance you would have made it. You need to now, like swimming.
I was looking at football players, and I looked at Tyson Jackson out of LSU, and I was like, because I was starting to transition to defensive end, and I started to look, and I said, okay, he was the third pick in the draft. This is how tall he was. This is how big he was. This is how much he lifted. This was the speed at the combine. And I literally looked at his stats as a sophomore in high school and said, okay, what do I got to do to get to those numbers?
Hell yeah.
And that's how I built it. So Tyson Jackson, I appreciate the motivation.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, set a goal, make a plan, execute plan. Put that on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
That is
simple.
Yeah, that is as basic as it possibly could be. Here's goal. Well, how the hell do we do it? Let's execute how the hell to do it. And then once we get there, sweet. Let's get that next one set up, and then let's just keep doing that. They're diving into the Russell Wilson contract right now. A little bit more Spotrac is. A pre-March 17th release for Russell Wilson would mean $85 million of dead cap, $39 million of it cash in 2024. Whoa. Designating him a post-June 1st release would mean a $35.4 million hit in 2024, $39 million cash, and a $49.6 million dead cap hit in 2025. I assume they're just going to want to do one. As opposed to dealing with this
I get it.
through two in this entire thing. What a wild turn of events.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, right there at the bottom. Unprecedented release. Yeah, nobody does this with Mr. Unlimited. Now, JJ, I don't know if you know this, as we were talking about this earlier, AQ saying, hey, Russ playing good football right now, too.
I think he's playing great. You watched this last week's game. Even in the fourth quarter, him being able, he threw for over 100 and something yards in the fourth, brought him back, makes a great play on the 2-point conversion rolling. He's playing good football.
A lot of teams want a quarterback this offseason.
Russ, this is what happens.
Sean Payton never wanted Russ Wilson as his quarterback.
What are you talking about?
Well, he came in and then he started talking about this offseason about how, Russ is what Russ did here before with his team and his own office, blah, blah, blah. That's never going to work. And it felt like the whole time there was always little shots here and there at Russ. And then
brought in Stidham.
Yeah, and then he yelled at him on the sideline the other day. And so,
wow.
I think the new ownership, obviously having the unbelievably deep pockets that they have is a luxury to have in this situation, because any team that gave up what they gave up to get Russ, and also the contract that they have him on and the numbers that you have to give up in cap space and everything, like a lot of teams, that is a tough number to take. But you got the Walton family on your side. You can kind of make some decisions in a different way.
I would say wealthiest owner in all of sports is out there in Denver, and we assumed that every coach would want to get there because there's no salary cap on coaches, so you could pay them whatever the hell you want. So if the Walmart family wanted the best coach who was available, they were going to get him because they were going to be able to pay more, and also to the assistant coaches, which is quite a weapon to have, to your point of this entire thing. But I think
but what's their plan then?
Yeah. So hold on, though. So
Russ is out.
Hold on, though. So Sean Payton, whenever he came on the show, Sean Payton said, we asked, I think, about quarterback being one of the reasons why you want to go to a place. And he said all he cared about was alignment between the coach, GM, and ownership. That's all he cared about. So that would mean when Sean Payton was interviewing for this, he said, we'll try Russ, right, for 1 year. And then they all had to agree, if it doesn't work out, you can move on. Because that's a massive investment in Russ for 1 year for it not to work.
He was calling plays, honestly, this year. He was calling plays like he had an undrafted free agent playing quarterback. Like, it was so predictable. Anybody that played any level of defense, if you're watching it, first down, they're going to do a wide motion, do some downhill run. It's going to be second and long, and then Russ got to make some – you got to pull something out of his ass and make something happen. Like, I don't understand the offense. I know it's not surrounded by great talent, but they invest in the offensive line, got decent receivers. Sutton is a decent receiver when he's healthy. Judy's okay. Mims. But, that
wasn't much different than what they did in New Orleans, though. It wasn't. Like, they ran that same style. It was old school fullback, downhill, and then some play action, and Breeze just hit down the seam.
It was more seam, more intermediate pass, and more even like screen game, like more creative screen game. Like, it was not, especially on early downs, first, second downs with Sean Payton. So I don't get it. Maybe he sees him in practice every day, so maybe he didn't.
This
trust
guy
him.
stinks. Can't do
maybe
it.
He didn't trust him, but it's tough.
To your point, JJ, it's like, what do? They draft a guy? I don't know. What do you think?
What are you going to do? Are you going to spend a whole bunch of capital to move up in the draft and pick one of these top guys, or are you going to go out and try and just blow somebody out of the water with a trade offer to get somebody? It's not like quarterbacks are just sitting out there ready to be picked in free agency. Like, teams don't give up good quarterbacks. So I'm very interested. There has to be a plan in place for them to move on so quickly, because like you guys are saying, it's not like you could say Russ isn't playing up to the level of the contract that he's got, but can you say he's playing badly? Like, I don't know if you can truly say he's playing bad enough.
Hey,
that
Cush
you
is a
know
big
somebody
fan.
better. Who's better right now that you're going to get? Is it somebody in the draft or is it somebody?
I don't know. Joe Flacco was on Cots
Flacco,
just a few weeks ago.
Jacoby Brissett.
Sure.
Jacoby Brissett gets like a half
Kirk?
a quarter.
They're trying to get Kirk out there.
Kirk Cousins. Oh, maybe Sean Payton's like,
Would
everybody's
be
saying
good
Drew
in Peyton's
Brees.
offense.
It's like Kirk would be a Drew Brees.
Kirk
What about Drew Lock? What if he saw that primetime game?
Back
He's like,
to
give me
Denver.
that backpack, kid. I
Just
like
trade
that
him
guy.
back. That would be the ultimate just roundabout.